Hello. Alright, so welcome to my channel. My name is Allie Mac if you have not been here before. If you have, thank you for being back. I appreciate it. If you guys would like and subscribe, that would really change my entire life. Like, the trajectory of my life would change completely, so I would really appreciate it. But today's video is the 22 books that I read in 2022, and technically I have started 24, but we will get into that in just a minute. So I'm just going to give you the title and then my rating, and maybe give you a little bit of insight on the book or why that's my rating. But I have read quite a few books this year. I have stuck completely to fiction mostly. One of the ones that I started and didn't finish was not fiction, and that just tells you I have stuck to fiction this year. I have mostly always been a nonfiction reader in my adult life, but this year I just felt like reading fiction, and I found a genre that I'm obsessed with, and it is murder mysteries or mysteries in general. So books that have a twist at the end or books that are unexpected are the kinds of books that I have found I enjoy. And so I've just kept reading those authors or authors like those books. So I'm going to start. The first book I read is Where the Grass is Green and the Girls Are Pretty. I don't remember the author, but I did rate it a 4 out of 5. It was very interesting, but I would say it was kind of a slow book, but there was a little twist and turn that I wasn't expecting that made it interesting. So a 4 out of 5 was still pretty good. My second was Swimming Lessons by Claire Fuller. This one I gave a 4.5 out of 5. This one was actually very interesting, very mysterious. I would recommend it. The third book was Evie Drake Starts Over by Linda Holmes, and this one I gave a 4.8 out of 5. So I really enjoyed this one. The love story within it was just really cute, so I really enjoyed it and would highly recommend. The fourth book that I read this year was The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I give this one a 5 out of 5, but I will say that there was a little bit of sadness in the ending. Like, it was really cute, but I would actually bring that down to a 4.9 out of 5 just because I wanted a different ending. Does anybody understand that? Like, you want a different ending. It's not the ending I wanted, but it was beautiful and a well-written book and a really fun book to read. So I do highly recommend reading The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, but I will say there's some things that you just want differently. The next book I read was The First Husband by Laura Dave. 4.5 out of 5. That's all I have to say. It was a good book, but not the most memorable, in my opinion. My next book, like I said, when I found an author that I liked, I kept reading those books. So my next book was Hello Sunshine by Laura Dave. This one I gave a 4.8 out of 5. I thought it was interesting, and that's really all I would say. I think the reason I took off 0.2 was because one of the characters was a little bit mean, in my opinion, and I didn't like that that was something that had to happen in the book, but it only makes sense. I don't really know how to explain it any better without giving it away. My next book is The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, and I gave that one a 4.5 out of 5. It was good. Not the most memorable either. My next book is The Guest List by Lucy Foley again, and this one I gave a 4.5 as well. So Lucy Foley is a great author, and I don't really have much to say about them other than they were really good books. My next book was The Unheard by Nikki French. This one had very interesting twists and turns, but it did have some holes here and there. So I gave this one a 4.6 out of 5, but it's a very good read. I highly recommend. The next book was Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, and I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5. I liked this one, but the ending again was unexpected and a little bit sad, and I just didn't want that ending to be the truth, but it was. The next one was The Third Wife by Lisa Jewell, and this one I really rated low. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I just thought it was weird, and I can't really explain why. I just didn't really like it. The Third Wife, I mean, that title itself, like, it's just not something that I enjoy in life. I don't think people need to leave multiple families. I hope that wasn't a spoiler. But anyway, my next book was 800 Grapes by Laura Dave, and I absolutely loved this book. Both the romance and the family just like was 4.8 out of 5. Highly recommend it. I could have given it a 5. I don't really know why I gave it a 4.8. There had to be something though. My next book is Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I gave this one a 5 out of 5. I thought it was a precious book. I thought that it was a very forgiving book. Like, it really showed the importance of forgiving people and how you can turn someone's life around if you just accept them and forgive them. That's all I'm gonna say, but I did give it a 5 out of 5. I highly recommend Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I didn't give many 5s, so that'll tell you. My next book was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Reed Jenkins. This is my lowest rating, and it's actually a 3 out of 5. This book was so hyped up and I did not enjoy it. So it was interesting and there were twists and turns, and I feel like at the end there was something that was like, whoa, that's captivating. Yes, the ending was incredible. The ending I would give a 5 out of 5. But to get there, it was just too boring to get there. In my opinion, it was so long. I was like, I'm gonna get there. I know everybody's saying this is amazing. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. But I had to force myself to read that book. So 3 out of 5. My next book was It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This one I rated a 4.8 out of 5, but only because I needed more. I was like, excuse me? It just ends here? No. Atlas? I need more. Like, I need more. And you'll only understand that if you've read it. But that's how I felt. And then I heard that she was making a sequel. So I was very, very happy about that. And I did read the sequel, but a few books later. So we'll talk about that one. My next book that I started, one of the two that I started, but didn't actually finish, was Boundaries in Marriage. It's a nonfiction book. It's a self-help book. And I was just not interested. I was like, I'm on a nonfiction kick this year, and this one's not the move. So did not finish it. Can't really rate it. I think it's very interesting. It's very good. There's great examples so far, but I'm not going to include it. My next book was The Secrets You Keep by Kat White. I gave this one a 4 out of 5. I thought the ending was very expected, but I also thought it was kind of just like kind of creepy. Like a creepy book, like who thought of this darkness? My next book was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 as well. I wouldn't say that it was very like twist and turn and mystery like all the ones that I've been loving so far, but I just want to read more by her. I was very captivated and I read it in a single day. So sometimes I'm like, that was an expected ending. Ew, 3 out of 5. And then I'm like, oh, that was an expected ending. Loved it, 5 out of 5. Don't understand my rating, but it was just a really good book. And I need to read more by Emily Henry. So comment below if you know any by Emily Henry that I would be interested in. Thank you. My next book was All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I gave this one a 4.7 out of 5. I really liked it. I thought it was interesting. The storyline confuses you and then it brings it back and you're like, oh, wow, that's why. It's one of those books. That's why. And you love those books, so loved it. The next book I read was It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. So I just talked about It Ends With Us, and then she did one that's It Starts With Us, and you think that it's going to be the prequel, like it's gonna go back in time to It Starts With Us, but it actually is the sequel. Very precious. So I gave this one a 5 out of 5 because I finally had the closure I needed. That didn't happen in It Ends With Us. I don't know if that made sense, but this one got a 5 out of 5 because it gave me closure. The next one I read was In 5 Years by Rebecca Surley. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was really cute and then it came together at the end. It was so hyped up. I had so many people tell me like, have you read In 5 Years? Have you read In 5 Years? And I was like, no. So then I got it, which I'm thankful I read it. It's not like I'm like, ew, you guys led me astray. But I thought it was really cute in the end, but I also I just like wouldn't want that to happen to me. It's kind of like a little bit sad, and I don't really like when things make me sad. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. The next one I read was Verity by Colleen Hoover. 4.5 out of 5 was my rating. It was a good book, but it was incredibly creepy and incredibly confusing, and you don't know what happened, and you basically are just allowed to believe what you want to believe. So it's one of those books, and I kind of like that, but also if you want closure, Verity is not the best book to read because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm confused now. These videos are hard to make because I can't actually give it away, but that's all I'm gonna say about Verity. The next one that I read was Regretting You by Colleen Hoover, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was really cute, but I didn't like some of the things morally that happened. Oh, this one was a great book, but I gave it a lower rating because I didn't really like what had to happen in the book. I wouldn't want that to happen to me, basically. So like, I don't agree with it morally. I'm like, why did that have to happen? Why did they have to do that? But it's really cute. The story overall is cute. The way people come together, the way it's written is beautiful, so. And my 24th book that I have began but have not finished, which is why I didn't really include it, is Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. So I'm currently reading Without Merit. Very excited. I'm thankful that I had like time, I guess, or that I made time basically to read these books, because I have always loved reading, but I have never been able to balance reading and working, or reading and studying, or reading and going to school, reading and whatever it was. I always was like, I don't have time for reading. But this year I decided I would make time for reading, and a lot of the times it was while I was taking a bath, or it was when I would usually be watching a show on Netflix. And my husband was really nice and decided to read a lot with me this year. I don't think he read as many books as me, but he did decide to read a little bit this year, so that was very helpful. I really enjoyed it. It was a very good like release of tension and release the stress. I don't even know what I'm saying, but basically I encourage you to read more if you usually say you don't have time. And I didn't really read a lot. I'm not saying I read so much. I'm amazing, I'm incredible, because for example, Carter Sullivan, she is an incredible YouTuber, go check her out, but she read like 150 or something, 175 books or something like that this year, like something crazy. So I'm not saying I read a lot, but I am saying I read more than I usually allow myself to. So I'm very happy about 22 books. It's almost 2 a month, which I'm just happy I did it. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I hope you check out all those books. This year, they were all pretty good. And I think it's because I stuck to specific authors and specific genre. I encourage you to read them. Go check them out. And thank you for being here. Yeah. You matter.